At 0713 local time, a launch hatch opens along the deck of an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer operating north of the Arabian Sea. A Tomahawk Block 5 cruise missile erupts upward in a column of flame before pitching sharply toward the Iranian coastline. The booster burns for only a few seconds. Then it separates cleanly and a compact turbofan ignites, pulling the missile down to barely 50 feet above the surface of the water. 4 seconds later, another cell fires. Then, another. Within 90 seconds, 8 Tomahawks are already racing east across the Gulf at roughly 500 miles per hour, their radar altimeters hugging the waves to stay beneath coastal detection. Far ahead along the southern Iranian coastline, several naval facilities continue routine operations. Radar stations sweep the horizon. Patrol boats idle near harbor entrances. For the moment, their screens show nothing unusual. But 40 minutes from now, that quiet morning is about to end. Long before missiles begin flying across the Gulf, Iranian naval planners had already accepted one simple reality. Matching the United States ship for ship was never the objective. Instead of building large carrier fleets or heavy cruisers, their strategy focused on something far more practical for the geography of the Persian Gulf asymmetric naval warfare. The northern coastline of the Gulf stretches for hundreds of miles, broken by islands, shallow waters, and narrow shipping lanes. Every tanker or warship moving through the Strait of Hormuz must pass through corridors barely 20 miles wide. That geography turns the coastline itself into a weapon. Along these shores, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard naval forces built a network of mobile missile batteries armed with weapons such as the Noor and Qadr anti-ship cruise missiles, both capable of striking targets more than 100 miles offshore. Mounted on transport trucks, these launchers can fire and relocate within minutes, making them difficult to destroy. But missiles are only one layer. Dozens of fast attack craft, small high-speed boats armed with rockets, heavy machine guns, and short-range anti-ship missiles are designed to operate in large groups. Their purpose is not to defeat a carrier individually, but to approach from multiple directions at once, forcing larger ships to split their defenses. Above the water, surveillance drones extend that reach even further. Aircraft such as the Shahed 136 can patrol the Gulf for hours, transmitting live video of naval formations back to coastal command centers. But the ships operating in the Arabian Sea are not moving without protection. At the center of the formation sails a Nimitz-class aircraft carrier, a nuclear-powered warship more than 1,000 feet long capable of launching dozens of aircraft every day. Around it operates a carefully structured formation known as a carrier strike group. The outer defensive ring is usually formed by Arleigh Burke class-guided missile destroyers equipped with the Aegis combat system. Each destroyer carries the AN-SPY-1 radar, a phased array sensor capable of tracking hundreds of airborne contacts at the same time. These ships are designed to detect aircraft and missile launches far beyond the visible horizon. Inside the hull of each destroyer are Mark 41 vertical launch system cells loaded with defensive interceptors such as the SM-2 and SM-6 surface-to-air missiles. If a hostile missile launches from the coastline, the radar can detect the trajectory within seconds and guide interceptors toward it long before it reaches the fleet. Closer to the ships themselves, additional layers of defense take over. Each destroyer is equipped with the Phalanx close-in weapon system, a radar-guided 20mm cannon capable of firing thousands of rounds per minute to destroy incoming threats at very short range. Above the formation, E-2D Hawkeye airborne early warning aircraft extend the fleet's radar coverage hundreds of miles outward. Beneath the surface, an attack submarine, often a Virginia-class boat, quietly monitors underwater traffic and tracks any vessel attempting to approach unseen. Together, these systems create overlapping defensive layers designed to stop threats long before they reach the carrier itself. While the destroyers continue tracking activity across the Gulf, another contact appears on the radar displays inside the strike group. The AN-SPY-1 radar aboard an Arleigh Burke-class destroyer detects a faint return moving slowly over the water. The radar cross-section is extremely small, roughly comparable to a light unmanned aircraft. At first, the contact looks like background clutter. Then the tracking software refines the signal. The object is flying a steady course toward the fleet. Inside the Combat Information Center, operators begin analyzing the flight profile. Speed is low, altitude is stable. The aircraft is approaching from the direction of the Iranian coastline. Within seconds, the track is transmitted across the strike group's network through Link 16, allowing every ship and aircraft in the formation to see the same target picture. High above the carrier, an FA-18E Super Hornet already flying combat air patrol receives the coordinates directly on the cockpit display. The pilot banks toward the contact and begins descending. Through the aircraft's targeting pod, the drone soon becomes visible against the dark surface of the Gulf. The shape matches a Shahed 129 reconnaissance drone, a long-endurance unmanned aircraft capable of transmitting live surveillance back to coastal command centers. If it continues its patrol unchecked, the exact position of the carrier strike group could soon be known. While the fighter moves toward the drone above the Gulf, another warning appears far beyond the horizon. High above Earth, an American Defense Support Program early warning satellite detects a sudden infrared flash along the Iranian coastline. The heat signature matches the ignition plume of a ballistic missile booster. Within seconds, the alert is transmitted to naval command networks across the region. Inside the Combat Information Center of the Arleigh Burke class destroyer, operators immediately shift their attention to the northern sky. The ANSP-1 radar begins searching for the rising object, while the Aegis system calculates a potential trajectory. Moments later, the radar confirms it. A ballistic missile is climbing rapidly above the Gulf before beginning its descent toward open water. The destroyer's tactical display shows the predicted impact area forming on the screen. Even if the missile is not aimed directly at the carrier strike group, it is still considered a threat until its trajectory is confirmed. The command to engage follows quickly. One of the Mark 41 vertical launch system cells opens, and an SM-6 Interceptor launches upward with a burst of flame. Within seconds, the missile accelerates to several times the speed of sound, guided by radar data transmitted from the ship below. Far above the surface of the Gulf, the Interceptor closes the distance with the descending ballistic target. On the tactical display inside the destroyer, the two tracks converge. Then both disappear at the same point in the sky. The interception above the Gulf removes the immediate missile threat, yet radar operators soon realize the missile may have been only the opening move. Along the northern edge of the Gulf, the AN Spy-1 radar aboard one of the Arleigh Burke-class destroyers begins detecting multiple small contacts lifting off from the direction of the Iranian coastline. At first, the returns appear weak, barely distinguishable from wave clutter on the radar display. Then the tracking software stabilizes the signals. More than a dozen small aircraft are now moving out over the water. Their speed is slow, roughly 100 miles per hour, and their altitude remains extremely low. Individually, they look insignificant. Together, they form something much more dangerous. These aircraft resemble the Shahed 136 kamikaze drone, a small unmanned weapon designed to fly toward a programmed target and neutralize it on impact. Unlike surveillance drones, the Shahed 136 does not transmit live video. It follows preloaded GPS coordinates, navigating toward the target while flying low enough to avoid early detection. Within the destroyer's Combat Information Center, the tactical display begins filling with small moving symbols. Each drone must be treated as a potential weapon. If even one manages to slip through the defensive perimeter, it could strike radar equipment or communications systems aboard the ships protecting the carrier strike group. While the air battle develops above the surface, another engagement is unfolding far below it. Roughly 80 miles ahead of the carrier strike group, a Virginia-class attack submarine moves silently through deep water. Unlike the ships on the surface, the submarine cannot rely on radar. Its primary sensor is sound. Inside the submarine's sonar control room, operators listen through the ANBQQ-10 sonar system, which constantly analyzes acoustic signals traveling through the ocean. Most of what they hear is normal maritime traffic. Merchant ships moving through the Strait of Hormuz produce steady propeller noise that can be recognized easily. Then a different signature appears. The sonar display reveals the distinctive rhythm of a smaller, high-speed vessel. The acoustic profile suggests a military craft operating close to the shipping lanes near the Iranian coastline. The submarine begins tracking the contact using passive sonar only, meaning it listens without transmitting any sound of its own. Every few minutes, the navigation team updates the vessel's projected course and speed. Gradually, the picture becomes clearer. The contact matches the acoustic signature of a fast attack craft used by Iranian naval forces, a type designed to approach commercial shipping or naval formations at high speed. From the submarine's position deep below the sea, the crew continues observing the vessel quietly. Its mission is not immediate attack. Its mission is early detection, ensuring that any threat approaching the carrier strike group is identified long before it reaches the surface ships. While the submarine continues monitoring surface contacts near the shipping lanes, activity on the flight deck of the Nimitz-class aircraft carrier increases rapidly. An FA-18E Super Hornet moves into position on the forward catapult while yellow shirt deck directors guide the aircraft into alignment with the launch shuttle. Steam pressure builds beneath the catapult track as the pilot advances both General Electric F414 engines to full military power. The launch officer drops to one knee and points forward. The catapult fires. In less than 3 seconds, the Super Hornet accelerates from 0 to nearly 200 miles per hour, the sudden force pushing the aircraft off the bow of the carrier and into the morning sky. Seconds later, a second Super Hornet launches behind it, followed by additional aircraft forming a strike package above the Gulf. Their targets lie along the southern Iranian coastline. Earlier intelligence collected by surveillance aircraft and satellites identified several facilities connected to naval operations. These include storage areas used to shelter fast attack craft and coastal launch positions capable of firing Noor and Qadr anti-ship cruise missiles toward vessels operating in the Strait of Hormuz. As the fighters approach the coast, the pilots confirm their target coordinates. From high altitude, they release joint direct attack munitions, satellite-guided bombs designed to strike with high precision. Moments later, explosions ripple through sections of the coastal installations, disabling key naval infrastructure used to support naval operations. As the strike aircraft begin turning back toward the carrier, another battle begins in the invisible space of radio signals and radar waves. High above the Gulf, an EA-18G Growler, the electronic warfare variant of the Super Hornet, circles several miles from the coastline. Unlike the strike fighters, its weapons are sensors and jamming systems designed to control the electromagnetic environment of the battlefield. Deep inside the ship's operations room, operators monitor the spectrum using the ALQ-249 next-generation jammer. Every radar system along the coast sends out pulses of energy while searching for aircraft. Those pulses travel through the air and can be detected long before the radar itself sees anything. Suddenly, a powerful radar emission appears on the display. The signal pattern matches a long-range air defense radar activating inland. The system has likely detected aircraft returning from the strike and is attempting to track them. The moment the radar switches to continuous transmission, its location becomes clear. Coordinates are passed through Link 16 to nearby aircraft. Moments later, a fighter launches an AGM-88 high-speed anti-radiation missile. The weapon accelerates toward the source of the radar signal. Within minutes, the radar transmission disappears. By late afternoon, the waters around the Strait of Hormuz appear calm again, but the events of the day demonstrate how modern naval power actually works. The Nimitz-class carrier remains at the center of the strike group, continuing routine flight operations while Arleigh Burke-class destroyers maintain radar watch across the Gulf. Above them, E-2D Hawkeye aircraft continue scanning hundreds of miles of ocean and coastline, ensuring that no new threats approach undetected. What unfolded over those hours was not a single battle, but a coordinated system of defense. Early warning satellites detected missile launches within seconds. The Aegis combat system guided interceptors that destroyed incoming threats high above the sea. Fighter aircraft intercepted drones before they could transmit targeting information. Electronic warfare aircraft suppressed radar systems that attempted to track returning jets. Each layer operated together as part of one integrated network. For naval forces operating in one of the most strategically important waterways on Earth, deterrence does not depend on a single ship or weapon. It depends on the ability to detect, respond, and neutralize threats faster than they can reach the fleet.